Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Before I get into the content, I wanted to mention a quick programming note. There won't be any videos from me tomorrow, in all likelihood, and probably not Sunday. Probably won't hear from good old Moon Lambo again until Monday, with again today being Friday, because I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be traveling to Chicago for a friend's bachelor party. Yes, my friend found a woman that's willing to marry him, so that's good news. No, he's a good guy. I just tease him about it. But also, I was also notified via text message mere moments ago. My girlfriend Michelle wants me to notify you guys that I need to be quick with this video because she refers to herself as a moon bae, and she says that I got to get to my moon bae. So I let her know that I would mention that in this video. And that's why I have this pulled up on the screen. In case you didn't know, this is what the youngins are calling their significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. It's BAE, an affectionate term used to address or refer to one's girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, etc. And so Michelle, another fun side note, she says that all of the subscribers to the Moon Lambo channel are henceforth known as Moon Bros, and the girls that subscribe to the channel are known as Moon Bays. That's what she says. This is what Michelle says. I'm just passing along what she says. I'm just the messenger here. So like it or don't like it, that's what she says anyway. But here's what I'm going to cover in this video. I want to talk to you a little bit about there's concern lately within the XRP community about Ripple, the downward price pressure, because Ripple being the largest holder of XRP in the world, what does that actually do? I've got a couple thoughts on this. One of them is brand new. I haven't shared with you before, but I got to point this out because there's a piece on this concept today. I also want to share with you the latest updates. There's a new version of the XRP Ledger, so I'm going to run through a few bullet points with you there and what that means. I also have an update from one of my favorite XRP personalities, Galgatron. He's a very insightful individual and well-versed with XRP, not just conceptually how developers are building on top of the ledger, but also from a technological perspective, how the XRP ledger actually works. And so I asked him about the concern recently, and I covered this in a recent video, so I won't revisit all the details, don't worry. But there's a concern about the XRP ledger being under attack and how individuals were uploading illicit images of the humans of the not-so-clothed kind, if you will, to the XRP ledger, which is immutable and it's there forever. And I asked, okay, so in your opinion, what are the ramifications of this? Is this a big deal? And so I've got another perspective to share with you on that particular topic. Is the XRP ledger at risk, or is everything okay? And then I'll end the video with something non-XRP related. It's from CoinDesk, and it's about the IRS hunting you down if you own crypto. So I'll cover that. But before we get going, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, go ahead and subscribe. You are welcome here if you are a crypto enthusiast, especially if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP. All right, so here's the first piece, and this is from today's Gazette, and it's titled, Ripple's 900 million sell-off, false start or true Kickstarter? Details! Exclamation point. This quarter has seen Ripple sell 900 million XRP. The tokens were worth about $251 million. In its market report for the previous quarter, which saw a significant increase of an average daily volume of 429.51 million, as against 156.01 million in quarter one. Ripple has shown some resilience due to its specific use case, global value transfer. This may sound like acceptance of the token by everyone, but few issues need to be considered for it to be proven that it is it for the cryptocurrency. And then they talk about the emergence of competitors. They're right. Ripple isn't the only value transfer blockchain developer who has a functional product. JPM Coin, which is backed in Southeast Asia by Mizuho Bank and 60 other partners, offers similar functionality with XRP. Okay, first of all, if that's live, okay, that's a fact that I was unaware of. If it is, cool. Somebody put a link below if that's the case, because I'd like to talk more in depth about it. I thought that it wasn't actually completed anyway. But understand, I want to point out real quick, this is a walled garden, and it can't do the same stuff as XRP. All right, and the piece continues. The only difference is that XRP has a secondary market while JPM Coin deals primarily with retailing. As such, the emergence of new competitors into the value transfer market within the crypto sphere is a given. So I think that's a misunderstanding of what's going on. Given that JPM Coin is a walled garden, I don't know what they're talking about with retailing specifically, but money can only be moved efficiently and settled immediately within the closed network, and that is the major distinction. XRP is a trustless system. You don't have to trust any specific operator. You just have to believe that the cryptography that underlies the whole thing works, and that's the case with any blockchain, any cryptocurrency, any digital asset. That's how that works. And they write, it's how the guys at Ripple headquarters handle it that will determine the future success of the XRP token. All right, now here's the part that I really wanted to get to, and this little subsection is titled "Market Flooding of the Token." Doesn't that sound negative? As per the second quarter report, 1 billion XRP were released out of escrow for each month within the quarter. 2.1 billion XRP out of the released tokens went back into the new escrow contracts. This, of course, goes without saying that excess supply of the token produced the market dynamics that suppressed prices despite fundamental gains by the organization behind the token. It is kind of market flooding that it is this kind of market flooding that provides reduced prices, which affects the book value investment of the token. These kinds of moves also scare away potential investors who may have deep pockets, especially because crypto summer is already here. So that sounds like FUD to me. Fear, uncertainty, doubt. That's what I think this is. And maybe they genuinely mean what they're stating, but I think it's a misunderstanding of what's actually going on here. So consider this. The supply of Bitcoin, although capped at 21 million, consider that through proof of work, there is always more Bitcoin released into the Bitcoin ecosystem, and that doesn't prevent it from increasing in value over time. And there's going to be a lot more Bitcoin available in the coming decades. Now, in the case of XRP, it was all created upon inception. There is no mining. XRP solves the double spin problem through a consensus mechanism, which is completely different. And so while it's true that Ripple is the largest holder of XRP and they are selling XRP, they're doing it in a measured approach. I suggest you check out my first video of the day if you want to see their 30-year plan for releasing XRP. It's being done in a measured and well-thought-out approach, not to flood the market. I can assure you of that. Based on all available data, that is the case. But I want to make an additional point here, and this is something I haven't cited before, but it's just a matter of fact. You know, the assumption is that with all this XRP that is being sold, it's the idea is that it's flooding the market. Well, first of all, consider that this XRP is sold over the counter, OTC, which means that it's not sold on exchanges, and as such, it does not have an immediate effect on market price. It just doesn't. You're not going to see it if you're buying on Coinbase or Binance or pick your exchange that's buying and selling XRP. You're just not going to see it. It's done behind the scenes. If you look on the ledger, of course, you can see all the transactions, but that's not what is directly affecting price. Now, that said, it indirectly affects price because supply and demand will always do its thing as time passes. But here's what I want you to consider. The XRP that these entities are buying, the assumption that people have is that it's all immediately getting purchased from Ripple and then flooding exchanges. That is not the case. There is no evidence of that. Rather, what's happening is, by and large, maybe some of it makes it to exchanges, but last I saw, and I hope somebody puts out a new report soon, but the vast majority of XRP available is not for sale on exchanges. Most entities and individuals that hold it, it's in cold wallets. So it's not immediately accessible. So in terms of the supply, I think it's grossly overstated how much XRP is actually flooding the market because of these sales. But there is an increase to some degree, and that is a factor. I'm just saying that's not the reason that XRP price is what it is. Consider that we already saw a bull run towards the end of 2017 leading into the beginning of January 2018, where XRP got to an all-time high of $3.92 according to livecoinwatch.com. So let me ask you, because consider this. Ripple has been selling XRP via its registered money services business, XRP2 LLC. It's been doing that for about 2 years, a little over 2 years, 2.5 years. It's something like that anyway. But all of that was happening. Ripple was selling their XRP while XRP went from, at the beginning of 2017, about half a penny to a year later, $3.92. So if your stance is that Ripple is flooding the market, How is it that they weren't able to prevent, if you think they're suppressing the market, how did they not prevent XRP rising from half a penny to $3.92 about a year later? Well, the fact of the matter is, okay, fine. I will cede the point that if there's more XRP in the market, that that's supply and demand. Okay, it'll affect price to whatever degree, but it's not a meaningful. It won't affect it to a meaningful degree. And what I would say, if you want to know why the price is what it is, first of all, most altcoins are down. This is not unique to XRP, but it just has to do with, at this exact moment, there is not a lot of pressure. There's not a lot of demand for buying. There just isn't. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with XRP. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with Ripple's plan building on top of the ledger or any other developer like R3 or Coil or Omni or any of them. It doesn't mean that. There just isn't demand right now. And furthermore, people have not sufficiently parsed out which coins should be here for the long haul. And that will happen as time passes. I've stated that a number of times on this particular channel right here. But you will see that. And so if you're worried about price suppression from Ripple or anything like that, I just don't think there's a strong case for it. That's my pretty firm opinion. I'm open to hearing counter arguments because I like critical thinking, and I always reserve the right to change my opinion. But I've been thinking about this long and hard. I've been looking for evidence. I see nothing that would indicate that Ripple's actions would point to them wanting to suppress price. To the contrary, I've got a piece coming up shortly after this. Ripple CTO David Schwartz, who is the co-creator of the XRP Ledger and hence the native digital asset XRP, he says, and he gives several reasons that Ripple will benefit from a higher value of XRP because they can do more with it. And I'm gonna read through that comment from him in short order here, so stay tuned for that. But I just think it's silly to think that there's any sort of price suppression, that Ripple's intentionally doing it, or even if you don't think they're trying to suppress the price, if you think that it's suppressing price regardless of intent to any meaningful degree, I respectfully disagree with you, but I respect you for having your own opinion. That's perfectly fine. It's okay to disagree with Moon Lambo. We can be friends regardless. You don't have to agree with me on everything. All right, next piece here. This is about an update on the XRP Ledger itself from today's Gazette, titled "New Ripple's Release Contains Miscellaneous Improvements, Including in the Transaction Censorship Detection Code." And it states, version 1.3.1 of the XRP Ledger has been released with new features, updates, and fixes to the core protocol. Yesterday, July 25th, the Ripple developers team announced a new update of the XRP Ledger protocol called 1.3.1 Ripple. Note that the steps for installing the new version have been changed to version 1.3.x. You can get information here, and there will be a link below if you happen to feel like checking that out. And this release contains additional options and code base upgrades. More specifically, among the updates of XRP protocol are code to adjust the time of the approval process and support the decentralized validator domain verification, transaction censorship detection code, transaction verification code, manifest parsing code for the configuration file, log rotation code. Now, a lot of that gets into more tech stuff, and I'm not as much of a tech nerd, but I wanted to cover it regardless. All right, next piece here. And this is what I want to get to. Michael iPinky7 on Twitter retweeted this, and I thought it was a great opportunity for me to share some thoughts from David Schwartz. But he retweeted something from David Schwartz, Ripple CTO, and he writes, this looks like a quote, the higher the price of XRP, the larger the payments Ripple can target. And then he writes, and we know that in target 2, every 8 minutes a transaction over $1 billion is executed. Try to do that at levels below $1,000. Even at $1,000 will be hard every 8 minutes. And so here's the piece that I want to read from you. This is a quick response. Again, this is all from David Schwartz, what I'm about to read to you. The most obvious benefit to Ripple of an increased price for XRP is that it increases the value of Ripple's XRP. This means that Ripple has a greater ability to incentivize partners and liquidity. It also means that Ripple can raise more revenue by selling XRP. Indirectly, more value almost always means more liquidity and trade volume. XRP already has each of the other characteristics needed to be a good intermediary asset, but it will be initially limited by the available liquidity. Greater liquidity will give Ripple more flexibility to target larger corridors. Also, to some extent, Ripple's success is limited by people's perception of Ripple's success. If you think Ripple's payment technology is going to be the next big thing, you'll be willing to invest the money and resources needed to implement and deploy it. If you think Ripple is a scam, you're not going to integrate it or perhaps even look at it. Whether it makes sense or not, XRP's price is seen as a measure of Ripple's success or likelihood of future success. It is also important that it not be terribly expensive to hold XRP. A higher price will mean that a similarly sized sell will produce less volatility. So a higher price could mean a lower cost to hold XRP. So long as XRP's general price direction is up, the volatility can be hedged without much difficulty. When Bitcoin sold for $1, you couldn't really use them to buy or sell a house. You can now. Bigger transactions require bigger value. The higher the price of XRP, the larger payments Ripple can target. When you're expecting exponential growth, even a small increase in your starting point can pay huge dividends down the line. And that's why I wanted to point that out. If you think that Ripple wants to suppress the price of XRP, to what end? This would not benefit their current holdings, and it wouldn't benefit their long-term vision for the Internet of Value. So I strongly believe that it's not the case that Ripple is just trying to suppress price, not even in the short term. I just don't buy it. That's one of them things anyway. So that's where we are on that. And it's also true, and I do want to state before moving on to the next point piece here. The price is important, but liquidity is even more important, because if you don't have people buying and selling XRP, then XRapid doesn't work. There has to be large pools of liquidity on multiple exchanges that are enabled with XRapid in order for that to work. So it's why it would be better to have XRP at 10 cents with a lot of liquidity than $1,000 with almost no liquidity, because effectively it would be useless then. So price does matter, but liquidity matters also, and it matters to a greater degree. All right, now here's something. I got this from Dobbs Ferryman, and tagged me in it. And thank you for tagging me, Dobbs Ferryman. I do appreciate it. And he wrote, "Boom! Come on in, everyone." And it was a retweet from Investment Perspectives. That's Brad Kimes' YouTube channel. And he wrote, "Thank you, T. It appears SBI goes live July 31st. So I wanted to be sure y'all knew that. Even though technically it went live a year ago, I think this has more to do, from what I read, to do with the availability of buying and selling trading with others on the platform as of July 31st. So, cool. It's on the way. And then you've got this comment on the same topic. Alex Cobb, he tweeted out, "I wonder how much liquidity SBI VC will bring to the table next week." And he's got the little thinking emoji. Mr. BXRP responded, "The exchange, as an XRapid partner, opens the corridor of their 60 banks and FX markets to join our party. I believe those who are underestimating the SBI effect are going to be surprised." Well, Mr. B, I love your optimism, and I hope you're right. I'm not completely sold on the idea of there being some huge noticeable impact, but I certainly hope so, and I love the optimism. So I thought I'd highlight that. But we'll see what happens. Okay, now to the piece that I was covering recently over the last couple days or so about some anarchists essentially out there trying to spam the XRP Ledger, uploading a bunch of illicit materials which would be there forever. And so Galvatron wrote, "Fear not, it's just expensive spam. It won't hurt the Ledger at all, and a bunch of twats are going to waste their money accomplishing nothing." And I covered that exact tweet in a video, and I mentioned that I tweeted to Galvatron because I wanted to know the severity, like how severe it would be, the fact that people are now attempting to upload a bunch of illicit stuff. Galvatron responded to that. Yeah, this is what I was waiting for. He wrote, "It's a challenge to not only reconstruct these files, but most people wouldn't even know they are there, nor care. Point is, it's not visible graffiti, it's enthusiast level, available to a small niche of motivated seekers." And so he doesn't think it's going to be an issue at all. Most people don't think it's there. And also it's true that, and I pointed out in my tweet above, that validators, they don't have to run a full history node, so it wouldn't even necessarily be included in there. And there's another point that somebody brought up, which it's kind of like the concept, and I'd wondered this out loud on this channel too. I was like, if people just understand with the decentralized nature of this technology that it's valuable, so we want to have it, but you also understand that people can do bad stuff with it. If something's done that's in poor taste or illegally or whatever, illicit materials put on a blockchain, are we really going to condemn the whole blockchain? I was just thinking out loud, and I was leaning towards the answer probably being no. And somebody else, I don't have the tweet pulled up here, but somebody else brought up the point, and I think it's a reasonable point, even though it doesn't correlate completely perfectly. It's a fair analogy. But just the idea of people being able to put all sorts of illegal stuff on the internet, do we want to ban the internet? No. Well, same thing with cryptocurrency. So I do think it's a fair point to bring up. Dobbs Ferryman responded to this seeming a little more concerned, and he wrote, Still, sir, you must admit it would be unsettling to a corporate entity or government agency if this were somehow used as a form of blackmail. The media can be unforgiving nowadays and only care about the shock factor, not the science. And that's a fair concern, so it remains to be seen exactly how this is all going to play out. But if I have to guess, given that I think, just based on just where I'm at right now, I think that people are just going to understand people can do bad stuff with the technology and it's going to be okay. That's just my gut feeling, and we'll see how it plays out. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that's how it's going to play out. You can let me know what you think below. And here's the final thing I want to cover before wrapping up this video. It's my only non-XRP related news from CoinDesk.com. It's titled, IRS says it's sending warning letters to U.S. cryptocurrency owners. The U.S. Internal Revenue Service, IRS, announced Friday that it has begun sending letters to taxpayers who own cryptocurrency, advising them to pay any back taxes they may owe or to file amended tax returns regarding their holdings. In a news bulletin, the agency said that it began mailing what it called educational letters last week. According to the statement, there are 3 variations of the letters that were sent. The IRS further said that it will have sent such letters to more than 10,000 taxpayers by the end of this month, adding that the names of these taxpayers were obtained through various ongoing IRS compliance efforts. And here's a quote now. Taxpayers should take these letters very seriously by reviewing their tax filings and, when appropriate, amend past returns and pay back taxes, interest, and penalties. IRS Commissioner Chuck Rettig said in a statement. The IRS is expanding our efforts involving virtual currency, including increased use of data analytics. We are focused on enforcing the law and helping taxpayers fully understand and meet their obligations. So tax man's coming down on you, everybody. Beware. So I plan on being fully compliant always, and I am, but I will maintain that. Just my personal stance, I do believe that is important. So I better wrap up the video. I got to get to my moon bay, because I got a little bit of a drive to get to her. But again, if possible, I'll record another video before I leave. If there happens to be a little bit of free time this evening, probably not, though. I don't think you're going to hear from me again until Monday, but if possible, I will put something out there. This is the most fun hobby I've ever had, so if it's reasonable for me to do so, you will be hearing from me sooner than that, but don't hold your breath. So, anyway, I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until Monday, to the moon, Lambo!